everyone. Welcome to this episode of Unraveling the Veil with your host, Yara Rose, also known as Katie Mosier from the yararose.com website. That is YARAROSE.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast episode. I'm so excited to be here talking with you again. I want to talk today more about the stories that we tell ourselves and about the perspectives that we have on our perceptions. Because I think it wasn't the last one, it was the episode before that. So the last one was December Musings, and then the episode before that, I believe, was in November. And we talked about how easy it can be to create stories around situations in our life and how those stories impact us as we grow up and as we experience different things. And I thought that was an important topic to dig into a little further. So I don't know about you, but I was a Disney child. I loved and still do love Disney movies. They are awesome. I really enjoy them. And as someone that grew up with that, it was interesting to me when Inside Out came out because for so long, there was always this good person and this bad person. And it was always about how the good person went through all these trials and how they came up and finally won and succeeded over the bad person throughout all of these movies in my childhood. And it kind of helped instill in me this victim mentality about how there's always going to be bad people in the world that try to take you down and how you're the good person trying to survive. And when Inside Out came out, at the end of the movie, you realize there really wasn't a villain in the movie at all. By the end of Inside Out, I was confused because they almost made it seem like at one point that Sadness was the villain. She was the one that was just raining on the parade of joy and making the whole thing more complicated because she couldn't just be happy about the move. She couldn't find a way to be happy and tamp down on her sadness. And then for the end result, for joy to understand that sadness is a part of the process and that it's as necessary as joy, it kind of threw me for a loop with my own belief system because for so many movies my entire life, there was always one person that was at least slightly worse than the other. And by the completion of the movie, I had this weird feeling inside me thinking like it didn't feel like it was finished. It didn't feel like it ever concluded because there wasn't a clear winner. And there wasn't a clear loser. And that's what I had been raised with. That's what I had been brought up with Disney movie after Disney movie, where there was always a bad guy, there was always a good guy, and there was always a clear winner. And you're probably wondering, why is this grown adult rambling on about Disney movies? But I wanted to bring it to your attention because so much of our belief system is created when we're children. And we may not understand how thoroughly ingrained these belief systems are, or how much they're still impacting our reality. So I want you to, for a moment, think about your life. And I want you to think about like the last fight you had with someone or the last time someone triggered something in you. And if you can put yourself back in that situation for a moment, I want you to think about what the very first thoughts were that you had after this reaction or after this scenario happened. And I can almost guarantee you that in your ego mind, you had all of these victim thoughts show up. For instance, I can't believe they said that about me or my dog or my animal or whatever. I can't believe they would say that. How dare they attack me like that? What's wrong with them? And who do they think they are? And how dare they? And you somehow in your mind painted this person as a villain. And then the self-righteous anger came because you were innocently just trying to do your job, or your kid was innocently trying to just go about their day or their business, or their dog was going about their business, just happened to get in the way of this other person, or whatever the situation was. You felt like you were doing the best that you could, and all of a sudden this person just went off on you about something that was personal to you and that you took offense to. And that happens to us so many times in our lives. Our ego, when triggered, wants to paint us as this innocent victim. And there's these stories that come up from our childhood about whatever your stories are. Maybe you have a story around this person and how they hate your work, or they always pick on you, or they always criticize you, or they've always been overcritical about this or that or anything that you do. And that's just going to play out. And you can watch it. If you sit back, you can watch it play out in your mind. And it's interesting how much this impacts our reality, because as a mindfulness practitioner, I have been consciously making an effort to step back as soon as I feel that I'm triggered by something and I feel the emotional wave coming. And I sit there and I allow the emotions to play out within me. And I choose to react the way that I want to react in that situation, and not the way that the old programming is trying to get me to react, because that is how real change is made. And that is how I become the person that I want to be. But it's interesting to me because there's so many people that walk around believing that they are the victims of life and that they're seriously just surviving. They're fighting one battle after another just to get through the end of the day. And trust me, there are days where I feel like that as well. But it's all in your perception. It's all in how you choose to perceive the world and how you choose to perceive these events. There's multiple sides of the story. Both sides can be true, this and that combination. And it's all based on your perception and how you're viewing things. And the more I learn and get into this stuff, it's just so fascinating. Like, for instance, I think it was last year or the year before, I learned that Hawaiian Ho'oponopono practice that you can do, which was basically about taking responsibility for how everything affects you and your state of being. It's a practice for accepting, forgiving, and cleansing the energies that you attract in your life. And it consists of 4 mantras that you say whenever something happens in your life. So if in that situation that you were recalling earlier, later you could say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And you say these over and over and over at that situation. And it's a way of cleansing the energy around it. It's your way of surrendering and communicating with the universe about what pattern or what thought, belief system in your energy field drew and attracted that particular scenario. And it's about healing, deeply healing that belief system and allowing it to be released, so that way you'll stop attracting in that particular type of situation. That is one energy clearing technique that you can utilize in situations like that. There's so many more, but that's one that I found to be helpful, because it also really enforces the thought and the idea and the concept that your external world is a mirror of what's going on internally. So if you have a belief internally that people don't treat you well, or this particular person never treats you well, that's a belief inside of you. That's what your focus is. So you're going to draw in experiences from this person where they're not going to treat you as well as maybe someone else in your experience that you've witnessed them have. You're going to think by the occurrences that they really truly do not like you and they take things out on you, or whatever the scenario is that you've made up in your mind, because you have this other view of how they've treated someone else differently, but that person has a completely different view of this person. So you're 2 people looking at the same person with different views of how they treat you and how they react and who they are, really. And based on both of your internal belief system, that person is going to act completely different to you. So what is it in you? What belief system in you is drawing that behavior out of that person? And then there's also another thing to consider as well. And that's that sometimes when people react to something that you do or say, sometimes it truly is not about you at all. Sometimes it's truly about them. It's you engaging with their belief system in a way that has triggered them, because you are being their mirror and you are showing them something within themselves that could really benefit from being healed. And that's collaboration. All conscious beings on this earth are having these collaborations with each other, these moments in time where you energetically are on the same frequency, or you're near the same frequency, and you get together and you react to each other based on where you are in your frequency. And that's why there's sayings out there that are something like, when someone triggers you, thank them and send them love, because they're showing you where you still could benefit from healing, where there's still work for you to do. They're reflecting back to you internal areas that need assistance yet. And you should thank them for that and send them love, because they're just helping you out. And that's where I wanted to talk a little bit about this let them theory, that Mel Robbins came up with. I absolutely love it. And at first, I just heard the let them part, let them say this, let them behave that way, let them do whatever. Don't attach yourself to the feelings that you feel when they do such and such activity. And I thought at first that it would seem like it was still missing that component, that accountability component. And I bought her audiobook and I love it because that's where she talks about it's not just let them. Let them is the first piece of the process. It's let them do, let them be, let them whatever they're going to do because you have absolutely no control over someone else, what they're going to do, what they're going to say, how they're going to react. Just let them. That's their work. Their work is deciding how they're going to show up. Let them be, and then let me. And that is so empowering. Something happens. They reacted this way. You reacted this way. How are you going to move forward? Let you do what? How are you going to show up next time? What was your accountability in this situation? How did you energetically contribute to what happened? And where can you heal from it? What was it reflecting back to you that you could use to work on yourself? Let you do what? And how are you going to do it? And how are you going to change things? And how are you going to heal yourself so you can be improved from the situation? Every situation in life that you go through is an opportunity for improvement, for advance, for growth. It's your choice whether you choose to see it that way and empower yourself to act in a way that's going to benefit you, or if you're going to sit there and blame the world for being a bully to you constantly and constantly hurting you and attacking you. You get to choose the story that you tell yourself. You get to choose all the stories that you tell yourself. And you get to choose which stories you engage in every single day. The choice is yours. You can choose a life and paint a story of self-empowerment and rising up and being courageous and consistently learning and growing and healing and prospering. Or you can choose a story where you're the downtrodden, where things never go your way, where you get knocked down 20 times and you keep getting back up and you're just going to get knocked down again. That's your choice. That's your power. That's the fun of living in this world is we're all living our own lives. And we're collaborating with other beings that are living their own lives. And sometimes the experiences that we collaborate together are not the greatest, but they are serving a purpose for allowing you to see where there's still room for an improvement, where there's still room for you to get in there and sprinkle some magic and with changing your thoughts around something, with changing your belief system, with allowing visualization to come in. How do you want to visualize that situation next time and then react that way? There's so much potential in every single opportunity. And sometimes I feel like we just get so lost in the old patterns and the old structures that it's more difficult for us to see the magic in the situation. And I just wanted to come on here and tell you that life's a journey and it's full of choices. It's literally the choose your own adventure game. Which way do you want to go? And don't worry too much about if you choose a wrong path because there is no wrong path. You're going to eventually get where you want to go to. And it's really, truly about just having fun, enjoying the journey, and becoming who you want to become. On that note, I do want to read a message from the Oracle of the Unicorns guidebook by Cordelia Francesco Brabs. And I know that I have read you pieces of this passage before. It's just so in alignment with this topic of victimhood mindset versus a positive, abundant mindset. And I felt like it would be perfect right here at the end to just show that no matter what your life experience has been to this point, it was all serving you. We have all played in the shadows and dabbled in darkness throughout different lifetimes. There is no judgment from the divine on what you did or didn't do in this or any other incarnation. Source sees you as wholly lovable and worthy, even if you were a part of the destruction or deception in other times. Only we hold ourselves in judgment and punish ourselves because we feel we are anything less than pure. These unicorns show you that there cannot be light without the dark. There cannot be day without the night. Just as you cannot have the capacity to hold the level of light that you do now, if you had not plunged deep into the darkness before. You would not appreciate the good things you have now if you had not experienced their opposite. This polarity serves you beautifully. Rather than trying to disown your shadow side, be proud of it, own it, and integrate with it. When you do this, it can no longer hold power over you, and you can start to love and accept every part of yourself. Doing this brings you true freedom. Freedom from the penance you believe you have to pay for being less than pure. Freedom from the lie of original sin that has shackled humanity for centuries. Freedom from unworthiness and from feeling less than others. You are perfect just as you are, with your light and your dark. And I just want that to sink in, because I feel like sometimes we get so lost in all of these different stories that we have that we can start to feel like maybe we were unworthy and that's why certain things happened to us. And maybe we weren't deserving of this, or maybe we were so bad that how could we ever be good? And I just want you to realize that you are perfect just as you are. You made the best decisions you could make at that time. And each and every single day, you're offered more opportunities to become a better person or down the path that is less desirable. But either way, source energy, God, whoever it is to you, they don't judge you. They love you unconditionally. They will be with you every single step of the journey, no matter which way you go. And know that you are learning something and you are growing, whichever way you decide to go. And I just want to circle back to how I started this podcast with the movie Inside Out, and how there was no wrong person. There was no bad villain. And I want you to understand that I want to be careful how I say this. The villains that you've painted in your life with the stories that have arisen in you, I would venture to guess that the villains that you experience in your life, more than likely, are more like Sadness and less like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, where they are just simply people who are struggling with their own path in life, and you, for whatever reason, may or may not have triggered something within them, and they may have responded in a way that was unfavorable. I'm not saying that's always the case. There are truly people that have gotten lost in their journey here, and they are so disconnected that they do some of the most horrendous things. But I think generally people are good, and they're just struggling on their path. And somehow the reaction you may have had that was not most desirable was less about you than you think. And to extend them some loving grace, because everyone's trying to do the best that they can. And I think we can all say from personal experience that living this 3D reality, this human experience, it's not always the easiest. So I just want to say to you all that I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. I love you all, and I wish you the most love, light, and inspiration. With all of my love, Yara Rose.